locals. All right, let me jump into this next. Trump is set to go on Joe Rogan's podcast. Rogan has more than 14 million followers on Spotify. I am one of them. So if Trump, I'll try to keep notifications on my phone because I do have Spotify installed on my phone. And if I get a notification that Joe has posted the Trump discussion, I wouldn't even call it a debate, the Trump interview, I'll sit down, I'll push the buttons, we'll go live right afterwards. I can stream it on my computer on the web page of Spotify, and we'll sit down and, Rogan can go for 2-3 hours. So, make sure you got some chips and some dips and maybe a cold one. And Friday afternoon, once this drops, if it actually happens, I'll go ahead and stream it for everybody here, and we'll have some discussions. And I think it'll be a good conversation. I really like Joe. I like his interview style. Joe is fair and level-headed. He doesn't seem to want to take a lot of sides, which people call milquetoast, but he does push it back. He does argue, and he leaves it up to the person to plead their case. This is from Politico. Former President Donald Trump is expected to record an interview with podcasting behemoth Joe Rogan on Friday. The interview will take place at Rogan's studio in Austin, Texas, according to a person familiar with the plans who was granted anonymity to discuss the matter. Rogan, who has more than 14 million followers on Spotify, has long occupied the top positions in national podcast ratings, and Trump's appearance on his show will continue the campaign's push to win young male voters. In recent weeks, Trump has appeared on such male-friendly podcasts as This Week with Theo Vaughn and Full Send, and a show hosted by the pro-Trump Nelk Boys. Trump has never appeared on Rogan's podcast, and the two have had a complicated relationship. In August, Trump called out Rogan after the podcaster claimed that politicians on both sides are manipulative, except for Robert Kennedy Jr., who at the time was running for president. It'll be interesting to see how loudly Joe Rogan gets booed the next time he enters the UFC ring. ? MAGA Trump 2024. Trump posted of Rogan, who is a UFC commentator. Yet Trump and Rogan have also had friendly moments in recent months, such as when they have greeted each other at UFC events. And they both gave each other a very hearty handshake and had a 30-second conversation and patted each other on the back, and it was very, very friendly. Vice President Kamala Harris also has reportedly been in talks to go on Rogan's podcast. That would be brutal. You want to talk about losing 14 million voters, but then again, leftists don't really listen to Joe Rogan, so I don't think that would go too far. So once I get the Rogan updates, I'll handle that, and I'll make sure to push that out on Friday. We'll have a sit down, we'll watch it. We're talking here about Rogan. It's a perfect time to mention today's sponsor, which is NMN from Black Forest Supplements. Joe Rogan's known for his MMA fighting, being in extremely good shape and doing quite well health-wise at the tender age of 56, 57. If you remember, he bounced back from COVID in like 2 or 3 days. So he takes care of himself. One of the supplements that he's mentioned and he's talked about is NMN. Now, rather than me try to explain it, I'm going to let the doctor that discovered it explain it, and then I'll tell you some of the other effects that he doesn't mention in this short clip.
I also take supplements, and in fact, most of my colleagues are in the field of aging, or anti-aging as people call it. So I take NMN every morning.
What is NMN?
Good question. So let me take a quick step back.
Sure.
So about 20 years ago, Lenny Guarente and a team of us at MIT discovered a set of genes that controls aging. And what they do is they protect all organisms on the planet, plants, bacteria, humans, from deterioration and disease. They're like the Pentagon. They sense when we're hungry, sense when we're exercising, and they send out the troops to defend us. And so we think that these genes are responsible for the effects of dieting and exercise, which is great. What that means is we can now mimic that with molecules.
I feel like I should make a shopping list.
So get a pen.
So with this, you get improved energy, weight management, endurance and strength, anti-aging. For me personally, it's improved my skin. There's lots of videos on YouTube that are people that have taken this 1-2 years. They talk about their blood tests. They talk about the studies that have been done on it. Seems everybody takes it. They feel better. They feel stronger. They have more energy. And one of the things as a guy, especially, you know how it is. You need to be strong. You need to be mentally aware. You need to be healthy. You need to take care of yourself because no one else is going to. So go check out Black Forest Supplements, NMN. Again, here's the supplement. And the other one you're going to hear a lot mentioned as well is something called resveratrol. Those two go hand in hand. Of course, Black Forest has both. But the NMN is going to be the one to kick off it's called NAD plus. And it's you take this, your body starts producing NAD plus, which starts firing up all those abilities that you used to have when you were 16, 18 years old, and you don't have anymore because you've aged and you got the pot belly and you got the creaky knuckles and you've got the wrinkles now. Well, this is works towards undoing all of that. So go check out the sponsor today. I'd appreciate it if you did. Links are down below, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I know I am. And thank you guys for being patient here, listening to all that. I know it's a bit long, but it's actually really good stuff, and I want you guys to be healthy and feel better and lose weight and be healthy. We all need to be around for, well, maybe you don't want to be around. I want to be around for another 50 years. So I don't have a title card made for this one yet, but this day in history, October 22nd, if you look at the polling from 2016, I'm just going to read the national. Clinton was up 6.1 points. And in all the swing states, Clinton's up by 6. Trump was up in Ohio. Clinton was up 11 in Michigan. And then she was up 1-4 for the rest of these. Smash cut to 2020, Biden up nationally 8 points. And he's again up 4.6, 4.9. The only place Trump was on any of these was Ohio at 0.6. The rest of them Biden had by anywhere between 1 and 8. Now looking at the 2024 polling and comparing it to 2020 and 2016, you'll notice here, Harris has the national average of 0.8, which could be due to New York. It could be due to, what's another city that has a lot of blue in it, or a state, California, right? And then you look at all the other swing states. Trump by 0.4, Trump by 0.8. Ohio, Trump's up 7, where comparatively last time he was up 0.6. Trump's up 1.2 when Biden was up 7.8. That's a 9-point swing. And then the rest of Trump is up everywhere except for national in all the swing states. That's why many of us start sniffing and worrying like, they're going to try to take this, aren't they? They're going to try to take this, aren't they? Well, Democrats have said, I think we made a mistake. We probably shouldn't have let Harris back in. And I'll read the main story here, and then we'll talk about all the things Harris is doing as she desperately flounders to try to save herself. This is a 10-minute video. I'm not going to play through all that, but with the November 5th election just over a fortnight away, here's an intriguing thought experiment. By most accounts, the election is still a horse race, too close to call. But although Vice President Kamala Harris quickly assumed the presidential mantle from Joe Biden and put in place an impressive startup, October has not been particularly kind to her. Donald Trump has closed the electoral gaps, and some believe he is actually leading. No matter who wins, we have to ask, would President Biden have been better candidate and choice despite suffering from the effects of age and 81 years old? Further, suppose that the disastrous June 7th debate with Trump had not taken place, or that Biden had been firing on all cylinders that night. Would Biden have been forced to withdraw? And whether Harris wins or loses, some will ask whether Biden still could have been a better candidate. Bob Woodward's new book, War, might not be a dispositive in representing Biden's strengths and weaknesses. The book does add weight to this thought experiment, though. Woodward paints a very positive picture of Biden's ability to lead and govern despite making mistakes, most notably the disastrous withdrawal from Kabul. Woodward also reports that Biden's obvious decline was physical and not mental. Well, where's my I don't think so button?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think so, sir.
We know that's not the fact. This was caused in part by prior medical conditions accelerating the effects of age on a body. There was also the strains of high office. The president refused to limit his overwork schedule despite valid criticisms that he was on near permanent holiday in Delaware and Camp David. I'm not going to read down through the rest of this. You get it. There's lots of questions. And they question Kamala's laugh. They question everything. And a whole lot of this is not going very well, including surveys on Kamala Harris. Well, this is the latest gaffe from Kamala. And this is from last night? Yeah, this is from last night. Kamala Harris's town hall host, Maria Shriver, says the crowd can't ask questions because they're all predetermined. When one thing happens and you see it and you go, oh, that's bad. Well, other people might not see it. But what happens when just about everything you do, people are calling it out saying, well, that's bad and that's bad. And that after a while, everybody's going to see at least one or two things that are bad about you. And that's where Kamala Harris seems to be going here at this point in time.
I grew up in a political family.
And people of both parties used to get along really well. They used to work for the common good. They used to compromise. And that was an example that they set. And now you're getting to see it in real life because we haven't seen it in decades. And so I want to begin by getting going. We have some questions from the audience that we will get to. I have a few questions. As I said, I went around to meet several of you, and I heard some questions that some of you had. But universally, many of you said the reason I'm here is to see bipartisanship. I want to see what it looks like so I can go home with information. So you're going to get that, okay? So let's get going. So sit back, be comfortable. You're not.
Now, you couldn't hear that, but a woman or a gentleman just said, will I be able to ask a question? Or can I ask a question?
Comfortable. You're not, unfortunately. We have some predetermined questions, and hopefully I'll be able to ask some of the questions that might be in your head. I hope so. But
predetermined. What good does it do if people want to ask questions and you only take the approved questions? Everything Kamala does is it's snake oil. You don't know what she actually thinks about anything. You can't ask her a random question. Why? Because she doesn't have a script. She'll lock up. So they have these people fill out these questionnaires, probably bring it back to Kamala and say, can you answer this? Are you able to answer this without a teleprompter? Oh, you want to scribble some notes? Yeah, go ahead. Here's this question. Here's this question. What good does this do anybody? And the mouth-breathing feminists and weak men that listen to this and say, oh, yeah, she's totally going to change the country. You know she is going to be a puppet on the strings. You know she's going to be a puppet on the strings. The evidence is screaming at you. A town hall event with Vice President Kamala Harris on Monday featured a shocking revelation after one voter simply wondered whether she could ask a question. Former California First Lady Maria Shriver admitted while hosting the event with former Rep. Liz Cheney in Royal Oak, Michigan, that she would only include predetermined questions. Are we going to be able to ask a question? Asked the woman. We heard the answer. Typically, presidential campaigns allow voters at a town hall meeting to ask unscripted questions, which lends a level of authenticity to the proceedings and highlights a presidential candidate's personal touch. Shriver said she had agreed to moderate the event as a concerned citizen, but also a journalist. I want this to be like a kitchen table. Like, just think that we're sitting around at the kitchen table and we're jamming about all kinds of stuff, she said. Except you, Ricky. You can't ask any questions. No, not you, Bobby. You be quiet. We're just jamming. We're just jamming. We're having a fun conversation. Shh, 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 shh. Not you. Not you. Jamming. Yeah. Shriver is a member of the Kennedy family and was on NBC journalist who was married to former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger before the couple divorced. She found out that he was muscular and had testosterone, and she was very upset by that. Cheney joked that it felt like a Kennedy family dinner table, noting the number of people in the room. It's raucous. It's hot, but it's fun. That's what it's going to be like, Shriver laughed. Oh, yeah, I'm sure it was real fun and raucous. But the conversation was hardly jamming or raucous. Shocking. As Harris repeated many of her scripted lines about her love of country, and Cheney revisited her frequent attacks against former President Donald Trump for allowing the riots to occur on January 6 on Capitol Hill. Let's see. Can we play this? Let's see.
It's everything that we are. When you look at the and law enforcement.
But you don't have to take my word for it.
Wait, I just accidentally muted that. I'm like, wow, she's taking a long time to speak.
In the situation.
And he would not tell people to leave for over 3 hours.
I think it does lead us, and it should lead us to observe that he is increasingly unstable.
What? Damn it. I don't want, okay. I can't pause it because this bullshit pops up. Look in the back. Woman.
But you don't have to take my word for it.
Woman. Listen
to the people who know him best.
Woman. And look at this effeminate guy with his legs crossed and his hands on his knees. Hi, Kamala. I love you.
His former chief of staff.
All right, you get it. It's mostly women and effeminate men. That's why they're losing the black vote. That's why they're losing the Caucasian, black male vote. That's why they're losing the black Caucasian vote. Wait, that didn't make any damn sense. That's why they're losing the white Caucasian male vote. It's why they're losing the vote with Hispanic men. Because this entire campaign is, you're toxic. You're a man, but you're toxic. We want you to be like this. This is the new representation of masculinity. And then Tim Walz stands out and he's like, hi. Yeah. And he's like a cheerleader out there. And you're like, that is the most effeminate dude I've seen in forever. That's the masculinity they want you to have. They want you to be weak. They want you to be malleable. They want you to be, they want you to just follow. Just don't lead. Don't think. Don't be strong. Just follow. Shut up and follow. The revelation comes as the vice president has refused to sit down for an interview with several legacy media outlets since taking over Joe's campaign. She has also faced a slew of criticism for her sparse media strategy, appearing on friendly outlets such as the podcast Call Her Daddy. Recently, the owner of Time magazine aired his grievances after claiming his publication has reached out several times for an interview with the presidential nominee. Despite multiple requests, Time has not been granted an interview with Kamala Harris, unlike every other presidential candidate. Owner Mark Benioff posted on X. Well, that's because she can't answer anything that's not scripted and that she has a teleprompter for. Or because if you hold her feet to the fire and I'm from a middle class family. Okay, we got that. What are you going to do to fix the border? People are, we know shut up and answer the question. We know it's a problem. She never gives an answer. She is the world's perfect politician when it comes to getting an answer out of them. And give it, again, whether you love or hate Trump, at least he answers. On day one, I would do blah, blah, and I'm going to do this, and I have tariffs, and I'm going to close the border, and I'm going to end this, and we're going to put Elon Musk in charge of cleaning up the government agencies, and we're going to put Vivek in to clean up, the Department of Education. We're going to put RFK Jr. in charge of food and getting our food and health cleaned up. What's Vice President Kamala got? And then it's like, she's like a bloviating pig. You just can't listen to her. So what happens if she gets in? She's not president. What happens if something pops off and we need to respond? What happens if she needs to go, foreign relations? And she's going to be the figurehead that walks into the room. I'm Kamala. And then she's going to sit down. They'll close the doors to whoever she's meeting with, Kim Jong-un or Xi Jinping or whatever. They'll close the doors. They'll lock it. Press is not allowed. And then Kamala's going to sit there going, hey, these are my advisors. They'll be talking for me. And you talk to them. Because she's stupid. She's a mouthpiece and nothing else. She just repeats what's told to her. This is what really worries me. We can talk about the border all day long. If she's a president for 4 more years, they're gonna try to keep these borders open. We'll have 40 or 50 million illegal immigrants in here in the last 8 years. By 2028, from 2020 to 2028, we're gonna have 40, 50 million illegals here. We're gonna be bankrupt already as a country. But now adding that many people here, it's doomsday. It's doomsday. So much for the jobs for young men, so much for the jobs for the poorest among us, because if they're coming across the border, the odds are they don't speak English, they haven't even graduated high school, and all they're good at is manual labor. What do all the non-college educated men do at that point? What do they do for work? It's going to push just the men that are already here out of the workforce. We're going to have record homelessness. You're going to have record problems with men, and they're fine with that because they don't care about men. Unless they're, hello, my name is Ricky. That's the men they want. They don't care. And then when you look at what's going to happen to our economy, which is already going to be bad, Trump's not going to save our economy. There's no way you can. Can he slow it? Yes. Can he reverse some things? Now, maybe Elon coming in and cleaning out the government and getting rid of these hundreds of departments that don't do anything. And then Trump lowering taxes on businesses that are here and him raising tariffs on businesses that send their manufacturing and production abroad. That might actually work. What's Harris's plan? Building more houses at your expense, giving out $25,000 loans to people to put down on houses. Now, you don't qualify for that. I don't qualify for that. Do you know who does? First-time home buyers that no one in their family has purchased a home ever. Well, who is that? Immigrants. And it'll come out of your tax dollars. It'll come out of the money printer. This election, it's easy to say, this is the most important election ever. The country's in a lot of problems. If this does if it goes one way, government gets cleaned up. Some of these unions and these unfireable people get kicked out. We may save a ton of money in our government. I think keeping the taxes low here and hitting companies that go abroad with really high tariffs, I think that brings more manufacturing jobs. I think that's good. And then the people that live here already, that are citizens here, they can take those jobs. And then we get rid of the migrants, which means, 10, 20 million more jobs for the illegals that came over here. That's 10 or 20 more employed men. Because again, it's mostly manual labor, which is overwhelmingly men. That's one way. The other way, nightmare. And this is why I really do believe that they're not going to let Trump win. I mean, he'll win. He'll get the most votes, but he won't get the most ballots, if you know what I'm saying. I firmly believe that. If right now I could bet money, I'd put 10 grand on Kamala to win. I would happily lose that 10 grand to have Trump come in office. I really would. If I could if I'd take out a loan to write a $10,000 check if I knew that meant Trump was going to be my president. Whether you like him or hate him, it has nothing to do with it. It's what direction is this country going to go? Kamala is going to force the gender bending crap into schools. It's going to be so bad. And she won't even interview with newspapers or anybody, even if they're friendly to her. Shriver described Cheney as an incredible, courageous public servant and praised her for participating in the bipartisan event for Harris. Just because Liz Cheney has Republican after her name doesn't make her a Republican. Certainly doesn't make her conservative. Harris took, oh my gosh, are you serious? Harris took 3 questions from the audience who read questions straight from their phones or notes. 3 questions. One woman led her question directly from her phone and even wished Harris happy birthday before she asked a question about gun violence. Another woman read from her phone a question about Harris's message for traditionally conservative. And Shriver also took a question from a Republican man, who asked a question about how Harris planned to continue fighting the war in Ukraine to make the world and a country more secure. That's it. That is it. They nothing about the finances, nothing about the border, nothing about why we're in all these wars, nothing about trade with other companies. Miserable. And let me just tell you, this went over like a lead balloon. That's one of the reasons why, again, Democrats are like, this might not have been such a good idea. This is from Benny Johnson. I'm going to full screen this just so you guys can see everything. I'm going to full screen this real quick. This is the Harris Waltz table at a college. Now, you know, most colleges are overwhelmingly lefty, right? Overwhelmingly lefty. This is the Harris Waltz table. Now, working at the table, we've got 1 or 2 people, 3 maybe. Walking up is one gal. Now, how many people do you think are at the Trump table? I'll play this through so you can see it. That's devastating. Do you see why Democrats are like, we made a bad choice here. We made a bad choice. I'm genuinely hoping that this is too big to steal. I think it's, you got to hope for the too big to rig kind of stuff. But that is a lot of red hats. That is a lot of red hats right there. And so now they've come out, Obama came out and attacked men for not supporting Kamala. Now they're coming after white people. CNN pundit says white folks better be held accountable for not voting for Kamala Harris. This is what the left is right here. You want to know everything about the left? Here it is. You better do as we say, or we're going to punish you. We're going to hold you accountable. We're going to punish you. A social justice advocate and self-described empower mentor Angela Rye told CNN that white folks need to be held accountable for not showing up to save democracy if Vice President Kamala Harris is not elected in November's election. During an appearance on First of All Saturday with CNN's Victor Blackwell, Rye discussed backlash triggered by comments made by former President Barack Obama after he scolded black men for not being more supportive of Harris' campaign. I'll just play the video.
Yeah, speaking of laying this at the feet of black men and honest conversations, former President Obama was back out last night. This is the first time since he was in Pittsburgh, and invoked the potential of sexism in his appeal to black men to support the vice president. Angela, should there be a course correction because there was so much backlash to that framework? Was it a mistake for the former president to say what he did or to say it publicly? What was your assessment of what we heard from former President Obama?
You know, I think that it's wonderful that President Obama is out hitting the trail for democracy, frankly. And what I think is a mistake is to let white folks escape the accountability that they must face for not showing up to save democracy themselves. Like, they want to get mad at presidential candidates, right, when they don't wear a flag lapel pin or they don't see you pledging allegiance to the flag. That's what they want to get upset about. Now, the face of patriotism to them looks like trying to tear down the Capitol in a terrorist attack on January 6, 2021. So
January 6th and baby deletion. That's all they have. That's all the Democrats have. January 6th and baby deletion. That's it.
The responsibility of saving democracy should be on the largest demographic in this country. That is white men and white women. I don't want to see a women's march with pussy hats come January if something doesn't go right. What I want to see is for them to march themselves to the polls, including today. We are in Detroit, Michigan, for an early vote rally. In Michigan, early voting starts next Saturday, which is my birthday, Victor.
Happy birthday.
But today in Detroit, it starts today. There's a big event at Pistons Land. We will.
Zero pushback. Zero pushback. See, they keep running with this save democracy, save democracy. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. You remember when the Constitution actually meant something? Now, the government, even local governments, police, all of them regularly breach and go against the Constitution, even though sheriffs and many police agencies have to swear an oath to the Constitution. They break the Constitution. Then you need to sue them and take them to court to get them to support the Constitution. The erosion of the Constitution is almost complete at this point. The fact that you could get the Biden administration in documents with Meta, with which is also Instagram and all that stuff, and Twitter before Elon Musk took it over. We have documents showing the collusion of the Biden administration with Twitter and Meta and the rest of these to suppress information. That is the government using corporations to suppress free speech. That is against the law. That is a violation of the First Amendment in the highest order. It is direct use of government to silence citizens. And what happened to Biden? Nothing. What happened to any of the people that were contacting Twitter to have them do this? Nothing. I've seen so much, before 2016, I kind of felt like Trump was a little bit hyperbolic. He said fake news and he said all these other disparaging things. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. Maybe they had a couple bad stories about you. I get it. Since 2016, if you talked to me in 2015 and you said, do you have trust in our government, the media, social media, newspapers? I would have been like, yeah, I see where they're biased a lot of times. Like I could read a CNN story and you go, okay, they're definitely supporting the Democrats. But I wouldn't have thought the story was false. Trump's in office. I see what they do to him for 4 years. And then 2020, you ask me, and I would have said, yes, the government is definitely lying to us. Maybe not as much as the media, legacy media, and these others. They're all lying to us. Now you talk to me in 2024, everybody's lying to me. Everybody. I don't trust anybody anymore. Oh, you work with the government in any capacity? I don't trust you. Even local law enforcement, I'm leery of now. A lamestream legacy media, don't trust any of it, including the ones like Fox News and the rest. Because again, you can listen to the evening commentators, the opinion segments, like Jesse Waters and Greg Gutfeld and Tucker Carlson when he was on there. I like them. But they fired Tucker, And then if you watch the news in the afternoon, I was, again, visiting my mom about a year ago, and she watches Fox News. And I was listening to Fox News' broadcasts, like at the 2, 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock hour, where they just broadcast news. They're using preferred pronouns. They use the preferred pronouns of somebody that does somebody harm. Somebody that was a dude that became a chick. They say she and her. They interviewed a family about how difficult it was to transition their son to a daughter and all the pushback they were getting. And it was in a good light. Like these people were, oh, it's so bad. It's so hard that you have to struggle like this. Fox News. So now we're in this era where the only people I trust are like people like James O'Keefe that are doing real good investigative journalism. You know, Joe Rogan, he may get a lot of things wrong, but he's the first to say, I messed that up. And I've listed many times the people that I listen to, you know, Jimmy Dore and Russell Brand and the rest of them. But at least they try to be honest with you. And they're trying to go directly to the source, directly to what comes out of people's mouth. Like this video clip. Me broadcasting this video clip is as close as you can get to real news because this woman said what she said. And I played the video unedited and you heard it. That's pretty close to this woman directly out of her mouth into your ears. And Post Millennial does a good job on this. But what happens when there's an interview and then they edit it and they leave certain segments out that's negative and they only let the positive, and that's not news anymore. That's why I worry about the next 4 years so much. Because we're going to have puppets in charge. They're directly talked about packing the Supreme Court, changing the court system we've had in place since this country was founded, giving more executive power to the president so that it's, you know, king for a day, every day, so they can write executive orders. They've talked about that we're giving money to other countries. Biden just gave $425 million to Ukraine. I didn't hear that passing the House. And 2 days or a day before that, they gave $400 million. I didn't see any bills in the House, which is the committee that doles out our money. I don't remember anybody signing off on that. Like, what the hell's going on? Now we're sending off troops to support Israel in the Middle East. Now we're sending off troops to... Have we declared war somewhere? I thought that was Congress's job. Constitution, what the hell are you talking about, old man? I have no idea what you're talking about. Imagine another 4 years where they double down on what they've already done, the damage of the past 4 years. I think they will do lawfare against Elon Musk. I think they'll do lawfare against Rumble to try to shut him down. They'll put in, again, the department, and it depends if we get the Senate and the House. If Democrats get the presidency, the House, and the Senate, we're cooked. Cooked. They will do irreparable damage. They're talking about making Washington, D.C. a state so they can have more electoral points. They're talking about the same thing for Puerto Rico. And it's like people just don't pay attention. They're like, I don't feel like voting because Trump said some mean things and I don't like. I get it. But at a certain point, you got to realize, oh my God, we're in a lot of trouble. We're in a lot of trouble. And I firmly believe that. So of course they're going to use all the ability they can to make sure Trump doesn't get in. I don't know if we can get a big enough gap in these swing states, because now they're saying it's going to be 3 or 4 days for Georgia to report the numbers. How is it Florida, with 21 million people in it, can get the results the same night? How can California get the numbers in? What do they got? What's California now? I don't even know. 40, 45 million? How can they get the votes in the same night? How can New York get the votes in the same night? Oh, Michigan's going to struggle. So's Wisconsin. So's Pennsylvania. So's Georgia. Oh, gee, what a shock. What a surprise. I could never see that coming. All the swing states are going to struggle getting numbers in for 3 and 4 days. And you know what's going to happen is everybody's going to go wild on this stuff. No one's going to be grabbing up their Second Amendment rights. They're not going to pick up their hole puncher and march on Washington. People are not going to believe in the system anymore. And when that gets bad enough, governors, and this is, I believe, how it will go down, governors will start saying, we're not going to listen to the federal government anymore. And then the federal government will say, if you do that, we'll withhold all federal aid. We'll withhold money for your schools. And the state will either bow to the pressure or they say, fine, then my citizens are not paying federal tax anymore. And then the lawfare starts, and then, arrests, and then it's going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad. So I say all this to you guys is just remember. Just remember, because if you don't think it can happen, I don't know what to tell you. You put far too much faith in the deep state not to throw every monkey wrench into everything that they can.